Yes, my hair does look like this. I wanted to talk about The Breakfast Club today. I just got done watching it for probably the 30th time in my life, I guess. Something around that. Um, I kind of feel like I get it now. I got it before. I probably always got it. But I kind of feel like now I can talk about it. Kind of, scoot over here. Kind of give you what I have to say about it. I wanted to start. This will probably be a multiple part video. I wanted to start with talking about the pros of the movie, and then finish it up with the cons, and then my overall thoughts on maybe how I would do it differently. Not, I mean, I'm not a filmmaker. John Hughes did a pretty good job, but I feel like there's a few things that could be changed to kind of make it a little bit better in a lot of ways. Don't shut the video off because I just said I was going to improve The Breakfast Club, because I know how ridiculous that sounds, but give me a shot here. The pros, the good things that this movie did. I'm not going to get to all of them here. I wrote down 7, a lot of all-encompassing answers. One, and probably the most all-encompassing answer I can give. It's relatable to everyone in a certain amount and in a completely different way. Nobody's the same. No two people are the same. I think if you were to just, instead of saying you like somebody in the movie, one of the 5 characters, if you took percentages, nobody's percentage would be the same, realistically, of how much you are like Judd Nelson, for example, or Anthony Michael Hall, etc. So I think it's relatable to everybody, and I think it's broad sweeping, as broad sweeping as any movie about 5 separate and very distinct characters. I think it has the right amount of drama and comedy. Very rarely do you see a dramedy, as it were, have the right balance, and I think that this movie is the shining example of the perfect balance between serious moments and comedic moments. I think that this movie speaks to the generation that it was meant for, and I think that it can, like I said, very broad sweeping. I think it speaks to all generations, but I think that the mid-'80s people of the generation that these kids came from kind of get it more than anybody, because the clothes, the music, the way they danced, the way the parents, everything was a little different back then. Completely different, no, but was it specific to the time? Yes. And so I think that that's an important part for a movie to be considered a classic, if it speaks to the generation. I think that The Breakfast Club does speak to the generation. I believe the score is fantastic as well. Everybody knows that song by Simple Minds, the title track, and I think, or not the title track, but the song that beginning and ending. I think that's probably one of the more synonymous songs with a movie of all time, really. And I think that it's hard to ever really put a song to words, and I'm not going to say that that's what that song does, but in a lot of ways it does. And so I think that it's a really important choice. I also think that there's a couple songs. The dance sequence has a really powerful song. There's just a lot of the score when they're running through the hallways. It's just everything that they use is nearly perfect, and I don't think it gets enough recognition for what it does. The Simple Minds song does, but I think it's the whole thing that really brings it together. I think that they display peer pressure accurately. I think it is that simple. I really think that, if you're in a group of 5 people who you've been stuck with for 5 hours, and one of them goes to the back of the room to do something that you might not approve of, then another, you might just have to go. That's just how it is sometimes. I don't think I fall into that category, but I don't know. And so I do think that this is probably one of the more, again, I'll use the term, shining examples of accurately describing peer pressure. And I think that it lays the foundation for future films in many, many ways. I don't think any film there's a lot. I'm not going to say that this is the first example of a film that does this, but I think that it's the first film that I can remembered doing something where it adds humor, drama, a little bit of action, a little bit of dancing, and it's a period piece in many ways, and it's about teens, and it's controversial in some ways, and it has great acting. It's one of these all-encompassing films. I think that, like I said, it's not the first and it won't be the last, but I do think that it's one of the better examples of that. And I think for the subject matter, it is the first. I think that this movie, in the vein of laying foundation for future films, it kind of set up the multi-character student picture. Happens a lot now. This was the first, and I also feel like it kind of set up the generational thing, whereas now the Brat Pack and all that kind of stuff. Now they have similar things going on. Not necessarily the Brat Pack or anything even close to that relevant, but you always have a generation of actors and people talking about them specifically. And the last thing, and probably the best thing about this movie, Judd Nelson, for many reasons. I think that he has the most lines here. Probably, I would say almost near double of anybody else, very close to double, and he is brilliant. I think his character is overwritten. I think Bender's character is slightly too intelligent for what he's supposed to be playing, but I do feel like that it's an excellent character all around, and I feel like Judd Nelson pulls it off better than anyone else in the world could have. And very rarely do you see a performance and say, that's the guy that needed to be there. And he was it. So I think that, those are 7 really strong points for this movie, and I feel like it's a more important movie through these points than could ever be detracted from it. But in my next video, I'm going to talk about the cons of the movie. And I mean, the cons are maybe just my opinion. I'm going to have to get your opinion on it as well. I do think that this movie could have been improved in many ways. Could have left a less sour taste in some people's mouths, although I assume it's a very small portion of the fan base. But I do think that there's 7 things I came up with that could maybe be changed to make this movie even better. So stay tuned for those. Let me know what you think. Take it easy.